Hello, and welcome back to Dark. There's a certain darkness that resides in the human heart, a capacity for actions that defy our everyday sense of right and wrong. It drives some people to cross lines most of us wouldn't approach. We're fascinated by these stories not because we condone them but because they force us to confront the complexities of human nature. Meticulous planning, sheer audacity, often devastating consequences. Today we're diving deep into the abyss. We'll explore 10 of the most shocking, audacious, perplexing criminal situations in modern history. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the journey into the heart of history's most infamous criminal acts. August 8, 1963. On the quiet, unassuming Bridegate Railway Bridge in Buckinghamshire, England, the Royal Mail train was not just carrying letters, it was a mobile vault, transporting £2.6 million in used banknotes. A gang of 15 men, led by the charismatic Bruce Reynolds, tampered with the trackside signals using a glove and a 6-volt battery to turn the green light to red, forcing the train to halt. In the ensuing struggle, driver Jack Mills was brutally struck with an iron bar. They formed a human chain, passing 120 mail bags. The entire operation took less than 30 minutes. The night was March 18, 1990. Boston was wrapped in St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Two men disguised as police officers approached the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. Against all protocol, the guard let them in. The officers overpowered the guards, binding them in the basement. For 81 minutes, the thieves had the run of the place. Their movements suggested a specific shopping list. The devastation was staggering. They didn't just take paintings, they desecrated them. Rembrandt's The Storm on the Sea of Galilee was violently cut from its frame. In total, 13 pieces were stolen. The hall's estimated value tops $500 million. Empty frames still hang in the museum today as symbols of hope. The FBI launched a massive investigation, chasing leads from the Boston mob to the IRA. Every trail went cold. No arrests, no recovered pieces. The mystery endures. Two men in police uniforms simply walked away with a fortune. Boston, January 17, 1950. The Brinks Armored Car Depot stood as a fortress, believed to be impenetrable. A crew led by Tony Fatzpino had spent nearly 2 years studying it. They observed guard patterns, memorized alarm systems, and stole the cylinder locks from the doors, one by one. They had keys secretly duplicated before returning them. On that cold January evening, their meticulous planning came to fruition. Dressed in chauffeurs' caps, navy peacoats, and rubber Halloween masks, they moved like ghosts, their soft-soled shoes making no sound. They surprised the 5 employees, binding and gagging them with quiet efficiency. No shots were fired, no alarms were triggered. Using their copied keys, they unlocked door after door to reach the counting room. In less than half an hour, they secured over $2.7 million. It was the largest cash robbery in American history. December 11, 1978, JFK International Airport. Inside the Lufthansa cargo terminal, millions in untraceable currency were stored. For Jimmy the Gent Burke, this was an irresistible target. The plan relied on inside information from Lewis Werner, deep in gambling debt. Just after 3 a.m., a black van pulled up to the cargo building. 6 masked men, armed with handguns, stormed the terminal with chilling precision. They knew the names of employees on duty, greeting them with eerie familiarity. Using a key from their inside man, they accessed the vault. In just 64 minutes, they loaded $5 million in cash and $1 million in jewels. At the time, the largest cash robbery ever committed on U.S. soil. The flaw was not in the heist itself, but in the volatile aftermath. Stax Edwards failed to dispose of the van, parking it in a no-parking zone. Burke's paranoia ignited a wave of brutal violence, orchestrating the murders of at least 10 people, turning the perfect crime into a bloodbath immortalized in Goodfellas. Easter weekend, 2015. An audacious plan was unfolding beneath London's jewelry district. The target was the Hatton Garden Safe Deposit Company, a subterranean vault. The masterminds weren't typical criminals. They were elderly men with a combined age of over 440 years. Led by 76-year-old Brian Reeder, this dad's army of burglars planned one last spectacular score. Over the holiday weekend, they gained access, disabled the lift, and rappelled down the elevator shaft. Using a heavy-duty Hilti DD 350, they began boring through the 2-meter-thick wall. The first night, they were stopped by the metal cabinet back. They had the wrong equipment. Undeterred, they left, acquired new tools, and returned the next night. This time they succeeded, crawling through the narrow hole into the vault. They calmly pried open 73 safe deposit boxes, filling bags with 14 million pounds, gold, diamonds, other precious jewels. They simply walked out, blending into the holiday emptiness. In Fortaleza, Brazil, August 6, 2005, 25 people had been living a double life for 3 months. They posed as entrepreneurs running a synthetic grass company, regularly removing soil, but their real work was underground, digging toward the Banco Central vault. They excavated a tunnel 78 meters long, 4 meters beneath the city streets. It was a feat of construction, fully lit, lined with wood and plastic, with air circulation. Over that weekend, they finally broke through the steel-reinforced concrete floor. Inside, a sea of cash. Stacks of used 50-real banknotes. Because they were used and not sequentially numbered, the notes were untraceable. The gang emptied 5 large containers, taking only lightweight, high-value notes. On Monday morning, employees found a gaping hole in empty containers. The gang had vanished with 160 million reals, roughly $70 million. They even cleaned up, covering the tunnel entrance with white powder to hide fingerprints. One of the world's most spectacular and labor-intensive bank robberies. The Antwerp World Diamond Center is one of the most secure places on Earth. The vault was protected by 10 layers of security, including infrared detectors, seismic sensors, Doppler radar, magnetic field, and a lock with 100 million combinations. In February 2003, Leonardo Notarbartolo, posing as a diamond merchant, had spent over 2 years studying the facility with 24-hour access. He used a tiny camera hidden in a pen to photograph the vault, slowly deconstructing its defenses. Over the weekend of February 15th, Notarbartolo and his team put their plan into action. They used ingenious low-tech tricks, an aluminum shield to block the magnetic field, hairspray to blind the infrared sensor. Most brilliantly, they found the vault key hidden in a utility closet. Once inside, they drilled open 123 boxes, making off with at least $100 million in diamonds and gold. The crime was so perfect it wasn't discovered until Monday. They'd even stolen the security footage. But their perfect crime was undone by a simple mistake: dumping evidence in trash bags. A resident found the bags containing half-eaten sandwiches, diamond invoices, and Notarbartolo's DNA. He was arrested, but the diamonds were never found. The full truth, like the diamonds, remains at large. August 23, 1973. Stockholm, Sweden. Jan-Erik Olsson, an escaped convict in disguise, walked into the credit bank and bank. Brandishing a submachine gun, he fired into the ceiling and shouted, "The party has just begun!" This began a 6-day siege. Police snipers took positions on nearby rooftops. Olsson took 4 bank employees hostage, barricading them in the vault. His demands: over 3 million kroner guns and Clark Olofsson brought from prison. Inside the vault, a strange relationship formed. The captors gave hostages coats, comforted them. The hostages began to fear police more than their captors. Kristen Enmark told the Prime Minister, "I am not afraid of Clark and the other guy. I am afraid of the police." On the 6th day, police pumped in tear gas. The robbers surrendered. Afterward, the hostages defended their captors and refused to testify. This paradoxical bonding was given a name: Stockholm Syndrome. November 24, 1971, a man bought a ticket as Dan Cooper. He passed a note to a flight attendant: "I have a bomb." Cooper demanded $200,000 and 4 parachutes. Somewhere over southwestern Washington, Cooper leaped into the freezing night with the ransom money. A massive manhunt found nothing. D.B. Cooper had simply vanished. Alcatraz, a fortress prison on a desolate rock. Frank Morris, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin. Using dummy heads and a raft made from 50 stitched raincoats, they slipped into the dark bay waters and were never seen again. And there you have it. 10 stories of audacity, ingenuity, desperation. These narratives blur the line between history and legend, reminding us that the most secure vaults are only as strong as the human element. These stories are puzzles with missing pieces. How? Why? What happened to D.B. Cooper? Where is the Gardner Museum collection? Thank you for joining me. Let me know which story shocked you most. Subscribe to Dark and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay curious and question everything.